We are live. We're ready to rock and roll.
So I'm going to give this back to you guys. What are you on top of that? That is a great question, Dan. We're actually going to be live in Kentucky. We are doing CRE Pro Course, Pro Mastermind, Pro organizations around us. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the organization, what we're doing, and again, it's started off with what are you doing here in Austin? Wow, what am I not doing here?
And I'm definitely having a good time doing some deals. I've got some sweet listings right now. You know about them. We talk all about them in the CRE Pro Mentorship. We talk about them. We're going to talk about them in the Mastermind. We're actually going to put them live on the deal table for anybody who wants to be part of this Mastermind. It's pretty incredible. So I'm actually working remotely, and I got my phones, my computers, having a good time. We've got that deal, that $47 million one. We've got buyers. We're putting it together. We're going to syndicate some other opportunities. I'm working on some deals in Detroit off Woodward. I know I mentioned this to you and Ben and to my wife a few minutes ago.
Yep.
We've got an opportunity to throw capital into irreplaceable real estate. That's what we do as masterminds. We put our capital, we put our investments in irreplaceable generational assets so that we can make money, have fun, and not work. That's actually part of the goal. So doing a lot of things like that here, Zach, having some fun with you guys. We're going to go to the range in a little bit. Yep, blow some things up. And we're also getting ready for an incredible conference. Ben and I, are you going to join us in Vegas?
Not going to Vegas this time. What are you doing in Vegas?
So we're actually going to be part of the National Council of Exchangers Conference, where we're going to have, again, a CRE Pro live deal table where people in the mastermind and in the course, Shlomo Aaron, as an example, who works for the Lukowitz Group, he's in the mastermind, he's been in the mentorship, he's been in the course, he's coming with us. That's one of the perks. And we're going to be putting deals on the table and syndicating them in real time while we learn about everything that goes on in the world of exchanges as it pertains to commercial real estate.
Here's what I'll tell you, Dan. I'll go on a little diatribe here. If
Sure.
you want to drop, you can. You can drop this on your LinkedIn. I'm going to go ahead and
shoot it over to me.
Ping it on over to you for the CRE Pro course live.
Awesome.
Let's see how we're doing here.
And by the way, while Zach's doing that, keep in mind, if you're watching this live, you can ask your questions. You can drop your real live deals in the sidebar. We'll make sure to get through every single one of them. And if you're watching it on the rewind, same thing. Zach and I and our team, we make sure to look through everything so we can continue to add value even after this is gone. So everybody in the sidebar, introduce yourself, say hello, put your questions in there so we can add more and more value.
So here's my question for you, CRE Pro team, CRE Pro listeners, watchers, audience, viewers, friends, family, ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, ex-fast friends, ex-real estate friends. So as Dan is preparing for the National Council of Exchangers, which is one of two that we actually participate in together. The other one is SEC, Society of Exchange Counselors. So these are groups that meet twice a year. They do more than just 1031 exchanges, but I'm sure this year or this session in particular, this quarter, I really think that the 1031 exchange potential sundowner is going to be a topic. It was in the previous, I guess, meetups for these groups, and I'll just give you a little bit of a background that the people that are in this group tend to say it doesn't really matter. I don't think it will happen, but it doesn't really matter what their sort of response has been. And I just wonder, what do you think, Dan? What are you going into this? Like a guy that's does 1031 exchanges, has clients that work on 1031s, and we teach 1031 exchanges in the course.
Absolutely.
What's your outlook on this?
So you want me to answer as an investor or as a broker?
I just want you to, as a real estate professional, someone who's done this for 20 years plus, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has clients that are working it every day, what's your feeling on how this is going to go?
Good question. So it's going to go just like it goes with every time. And you hinted at something very important, right? This is something that we deal with on a regular basis, all right? We dealt with this Rewind 12 months ago, I remember dealing with a bunch of hospitals where I had clients that were saying the same thing we're saying now, which is, hey, Dan, we got to get this to market. We got to get great offers. We got to make sure that this is taken care of before the end of the year because we don't know what's going to happen. Same thing going on now. Same clients and maybe some other clients as well that are saying, hey, Dan, get us top dollar, provide value. We want to make sure that we get this out to market now and get it sold quickly because we don't know what's going to happen next year. So what I would say is number one, this is just proof positive for why it's so amazing to be a broker, right?
Sure.
As a broker, I and you and all the other CRE pros, we're the ones that add value. We're the ones that people are reaching out to say, hey guys, please help us out right now so we can all make money or so that we can all avoid loss. And quite frankly, as a broker, one of the most important indices that I pay attention to is, would you guess what it might be?
I'm thinking it's generational wealth.
Generational wealth index. Okay, maybe that is incorrect. I actually look at the VIX, okay, the volatility index. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because as a broker and an investor, keep in mind that when there's volatility, there's different flows in terms of market velocity, in terms of what's going on. So when there's volatility, people are buying and selling a lot, right? And transacting a lot.
Right.
That's good as a broker. Now, as an investor, the way that I look at this situation is that I'm looking at the time value of money, but I'm also looking at the investment time that I'm doing. When am I getting into that investment?
Right.
You kind of maybe call it that whole thing. It's not how you time the market, it's more time in the market.
Okay.
So the best time to get involved in real estate was 20 years ago, or the best time to take the CRE Pro course was 20 years ago, even though it didn't exist.
Even better than that 21 years ago.
Exactly. The second best time is right now. So if you're out there and you have assets or you're looking to acquire assets, reach out to your broker. Reach out to someone like me, Dan Lukowitz, Lukowitz Group at Encore Real Estate Investment Services. I will provide that value. I'll let you know what the property is worth. I'll let you know what type of strategy you might want to implement. So the answer to your question is, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen. We can talk about my thoughts, but what I will say is become educated now. Become a CRE Pro now. Get in the mastermind now. Do deals now. Don't wait. If you wait, you will automatically lose.
So that's a great, here's another point to this. And this is one my father has been advising me on for the last year solid, interest rates and inflation.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so one of the things that we're seeing is a positive is inflation's at 5.5% as of 2 days ago, yesterday.
I've been calling 5.3% next year and right on the money. Right?
So Fed's going to slow down on their buying of treasuries and their stimulus packages. But as we all know, we released a lot of money over the actual physical bills and I guess digital currency as well.
Yep.
And the U.S. dollar. And as we all know, that there is a correlation between that and how much people are going to ask for, what the price of milk is going to do, what gasoline is going to do. What cattle's going to do, and all of those things in the last economic report, they sort of omitted some of the more important features and to say is bad as it could be, or that thought it would be, we're getting it under control. But really, are you? Because real estate's going to continue to go up as people their rent escalates, right?
Sure.
And we're going to start seeing more and more. People are going to be asking for more money. They're going to have more money to spend on rent. There's going to
more opportunity to invest too. That's what we're seeing too. Zach, every single state in this nation, pretty much, definitely states like Texas and Michigan, we're setting records. Okay, setting records for the number of new corporations filed. You can go on licensing and regulatory affairs for each of the states and see those numbers, and that's because the opportunity today to own your own business, to be a real estate investor, to be a broker, whatever you want to be, has been like it's never been before. So if you're watching this, like, reach out to us. We will help you. That's what we do. We help people build businesses, build wealth, have fun, make a lot of money, and provide value. And with what's going on in the markets right now, especially like what you touched on with interest rates, right? With all this capital being deployed, with all this volatility, there's a lot of movement, a lot of opportunities. And that's why we do what we do, because people reach out to us all the time, right, Zach? And they say, hey, Dan, hey, Zach, can you help us out with this? And we always say, heck yeah, we will, because we provide value. And that's now why we're doing what we're doing, because we need to help.
We're partial to real estate,
we
obviously.
Are, for sure.
But look, if someone were to come to you today and say, I have a bank account full of $100,000 or $1 million, what do I do with that money today? And you can go several routes, right? You can go stock market all-time high. Maybe that continues to go higher. Maybe it's oil, or maybe it's Bitcoin. But Dan and I don't know as much about those things as we do. We are surefire that real estate will continue to appreciate, particularly in hot cities where there are an increase in population. It tends to be in the Sun Belt right now, But even in California, even
Or
in New York,
freshwater areas, resorts.
freshwater resorts, those are great spots as well. I think the resort in particular, and this is the thing you have your Traverse City listing, and I know it's doing really well. So we've seen over the last 2 years that people are taking the vacations that they were maybe holding on to the last 2 years, but maybe they're not going down to Dominican Republic, Brazil, or India, but they still want to go somewhere with their family. They want to do something that's close. Maybe they want to purchase a second home. Maybe they want to purchase a resort. Maybe they just want to visit a resort. And all of those things are good indicators to say that if you're going to invest, and you're going to invest in real estate, invest in something that you have a belief around, right? Something you can see, something you can visit, something you can touch, taste, feel. And all of those things coming together lead us to believe that there's going to be a rapid escalation in the volume of deals that are being done, whether it's a 1031 deal, whether it is an investment of capital that you have set aside for something else, and you're thinking, oh, I can hold it in cash, I can hold it in gold, I can hold it in Bitcoin, but you can hold it in real estate, right? And so,
absolutely.
Let me ask you, what's your experience with fractional real estate companies like a Fundrise, for example?
So, I hope nobody gets mad at me. I like to just say it the way that it is.
These are just opinions, Dan.
Yeah, I look at it like this. He's definitely wrong about that. But I like to, and by the way, I call every dip in Bitcoin. I text you and the guys, buy the dip, buy the dip.
You always call the dip
after
the dip.
No, I call the dip during the dip. That's not true.
During the dip.
During the dip.
Going down. Congratulations.
Anyway, the point is that my perspective is like this. I'm watching a tremendous amount of capital. When I say tremendous, I mean with a capital T. A tremendous amount of capital flowing into the net lease world, which is one of my specialties. Because if you look across the board, multifamily cap rates are compressing like crazy.
Absolutely.
There are certain legislation and mandates that have come out, excuse me, over the last 18 months that, whether we believe them or not, they say that people can't collect rent or people can't evict. And what I look at is I see that all of these syndicators, right, that had their eyes on multifamily for the last 10 years are now moving their focus into things like net lease because of what you're referring to, this idea that if maybe you don't have $3 or $4 million for a Walgreens, a main-on-main corner Walgreens, a net bond deal, absolute triple net, maybe you don't even have the down payment for that.
Let's slow down for a second. So can you explain to some of our audience who doesn't really do a lot of net or single net, triple net, double net leases, what that means and how does somebody invest in that today?
Sure, perfect. So, and I appreciate that. So a triple net deal or an absolute net deal or sometimes known as a bond deal is a deal where you as the investor collect a certain rent and that rent number is net to you. So for example, if that Walgreens is paying $200,000 of rent, you don't have to pay for anything. You don't pay for taxes. You don't pay for insurance. Walgreens corporate pays for that if they're signing the lease. You don't pay for maintenance. If it's an absolute triple net deal, you don't even pay for the roof or the structure of the parking lot repairs or maintenance. So it's very stable, very secure, and very specific.
Which is why it's a bond deal or it's a coupon deal. Essentially,
and the bond comes from the fact that Walgreens, who's a credit company, right, to a certain extent, they are the ones guaranteeing the lease. And this is very different from something like multifamily where you might pull in $200,000 gross collected rents, but you have to pay for things like taxes, insurance, management. You have to have replacement reserves, capital expenditures, things like that. You might have to fix a roof. You might have to evict people. So that's very different. So the reason I brought that up, Zach, is you mentioned about these ideas of these, like maybe where people can buy parts of a deal, right?
Yeah, right.
And what I'm seeing is that, again, you could have 3-4 million for a great Walgreens location, or maybe not. You might not even have enough money to afford the down payment, which might be, let's say 25, 30, 35% of that. So what are we looking at? Close to $1 million, right? You might not have that, but there are great operators and great syndicators that will take certain chunks of money, 50, 100, 150,000, maybe even 25,000, and put it together so that we compile a bunch of people, put them into a deal, and now they're a new buyer. They're the new syndicate. What's even cooler than that is that you might think, well, that one Walgreens, yeah, it's Walgreens, yeah, it's a corner here in downtown Austin, Texas, but maybe there's gonna be a problem there. Well, the syndicator can actually help you to diversify by putting you in a pool of, let's say, 10 or 20 Walgreens. And that's why it is so important to make sure that you work with great people and make sure that you are a CRE pro yourself, that you have the understanding to be able to underwrite and analyze deals so that you don't get put in a bad deal or so you don't put yourself in a bad deal.
So let me give you 2 takeaways that I hear from that. So first of all, Dan is a fan of investing in a triple net property at this time, right? So maybe not so much a multifamily, maybe we're looking more to triple net deal. And it's not necessary to come in with the entire amount yourself, right? So don't wait to invest if you call someone like Dan, you call someone like Zach, or you call someone in our network that specializes in your area in a certain asset class that you like, now is the time to reach out, right? You can reach out and you can invest a smaller amount of money. Let's just say you have $30,000. Well, they have 10 other people with $30,000. Now you have $300,000. And now you can go after a property that actually makes sense for you, as opposed to saying, well, I'll go ahead and put it into a fund rise because I don't know of anybody else. Well, you do know other people.
Yeah.
These people.
Exactly.
So,
and then clearly you're watching this. So you obviously, you know us, right? You probably like us, or at least think we're funny or silly. And you trust us. Why? Because we have a track record. We have a reputation. We have a course. We have a history.
Yeah, let me tap on that, Dan. That's exactly the second point. And the second point of that is, like, you want to come in with some financial knowledge of some sort of real estate, right? You don't need to know everything about every deal. I don't believe that that's the case, that you should study for years and years. But yeah, it's the power of the network. But if you were to take a course like CRE Pro course, let's just say you're going to invest in stocks, right? You at least want to know what, the PE ratio is. When your broker tells you what a PE ratio is, you want to know what that is. That's a very high level skill, or a very high level amount of knowledge you need to know about a particular asset, for example. So in this case, if we're talking about commercial real estate, right, reaching out to Dan or Zach is great. The first step, and we've seen this over time and time again, even if you don't plan on brokering real estate, is actually to get into a CRE Pro course. You get a very high level of all of the different asset classes. You can find out what Dan or Zach does on a daily basis. And if you decide you want to be a real estate broker, great idea.
Exactly.
But if you decide you just want to have more of a financial knowledge of what's happening inside the deals that you're investing in, exactly. So it really makes sense to have that ground level base. And the way that you can do that is by taking a course like ours. We also offer mentorship past that. So this is a one-on-one basis. Maybe you have more questions about TripleNet and you want to talk to Dan more about it before you make that investment. Well, what a great opportunity to talk to somebody who's at the top of their game in the highest and most frequented markets in the country. He can give you some insight into what Walgreens would be a great one to invest in.
You know what I can also do? I can also help give you a job. I don't know if you've told people about this, but every single person who completes the course, every one of them, they sign up for mentorship. Everyone who completes mentorship level 1 in the CRE Pro suite of services, they sign up for level 2. And everyone who signs up for level 2 and completes that, they're in the mastermind now. And even more importantly, guess what? They get placed with the brokerage. Many of them now work for the Lukowitz Group of Encore Real Estate Investment Services, and we're doing deals together. We're not just brokers. We're not just friends. We hang out together, but we're also investing together. That is what we do.
So we got a comment that came in. We appreciate it, Shlomo. One of the comments that came in is, and Dan touched upon this a little bit earlier, but it is our multifamily compression rate is going to spill over into the retail section, in particular, in a triple net deal. And great question, Shlomo. I'll hand it off.
I think what Shlomo Aaron, by the way, Shlomo Aaron in the CRE Pro course, in the mentorship, in the mastermind.
Great question, because you understood what you were talking about.
Exactly. So his question is, do we think that cap rates in multifamily are going to go up since investors are moving to the triple net space? That's such a good question. So there's a lot of variables. And I was dealing with one of our students in the level 2 mastermind mentorship just 2 days ago, and he asked me the same exact question. And what I mentioned to him was that what you have to understand is that everything that we discuss, we have to look at not in a vacuum. We have to look at it against the backdrop of what's going on in the world, in the economy, and in the industry and in our markets. So I want to take a little step back and talk about something called stagflation. Okay, so anybody who was around
Stagflation.
Exactly. Anyone who was around in the 1970s, which was definitely not me. I don't know, maybe it was you.
It was in spirit. It was me. I'm 1981.
Okay, so I'm 83. I wasn't around, but I have
the top millennial.
Great accountant, and I have great people in my network, and I've done a lot of reading and taking great courses. So I know a little bit about stagflation. Stagflation is something we talk about in our courses. So what that is, just in short, is the idea that even though things might look like they're appreciating, like they're getting more expensive, because there's more dollars out there and there's so much inflation, they're actually going down in value. So I'll give you a great example. In the 70s, the stock market went up significantly, but inflation was way more than the stock market going up. So all the peons who were running around saying, oh my gosh, look at my stock, look at my this, look at my that. It's going up, it's going up, it's going up. Really, it was crashing. Really, they were losing money. So keep in mind, cap rates, in a certain sense, are a little bit of an illusion. Because if as you indicated before, if inflation is going to be 5.3 or 5.5%, right, and you see a 1 or 2% appreciation in your property, or you have a 1 or 2% rental escalation. By the way, rental escalations we talk a lot about in the course.
Absolutely.
But if that's the case, your asset is actually, your dollars coming in are actually worth less. So that's very important. So first of all, keep in mind that when we look at things, when we talk about cap rates, there's that big variable of what's going on with inflation. And then there's that other variable called interest rates, right? Interest rates have been at historic lows. I feel like that word of interest rates are at historic lows has been used by loan brokers for 15 years, it feels like.
Well, look, we are of the similar mind on this, but we can go to a guy like Hunter Thompson who's going to say they're going to go negative. I mean, there are markets like the Japan market that have gone negative. I don't think they're going to go negative. I think they're going to be fairly stagnant and probably rising over the short term.
They will. They have to.
Let me hit a question here from Cindy, and it's a good one. It's what do Dan and Zach do all day? And that's a great question.
You run with that one.
Yeah. Dan does mostly, he's driving his Prowler around town.
Prowler, get out of here. You're just jealous.
Zach's roping cattle out there, trying to seem like he's busy.
Wait, this guy is so American that his idea of passive income must involve him on like a tractor or a horse or shooting a gun. Okay?
Oh, why pay somebody else to do it while I could drive a tractor?
My idea of passive income is having a phone call while I'm in my Viper, right? Or hanging out with my friends. That's what I'm doing, by the way. I'm hanging out. Zach is such a great guy, one of my best friends. Best business partner I ever had, honestly. I'm here with my wife.
Dan. You too.
Yeah, Ben Kogan, Zach's boyfriend. We're having a great time together. And then guess what? We're going to Vegas after this. We're going to see my kids. Yeah, I do work. Yeah, I do take calls. But at the end of the day, I set my hours. I have fun. And I add value. And I make great relationships.
Well, let's just talk about that, right? So over time, Cindy also asked, what does the Lukowitz Group actually do? And what does the leader of the Lukowitz? Yeah, what does the Lukowitz Group actually do? So that's a great answer, what Dan just said before. And a lot of it has to do with making great relationships, doing what you say you're going to do, being honest.
Adding value
time after time. And so what happens over a period of years, if you do that, you can then start building your team. You build your team. You've got brokers out there working for you, with you, helping you build your team and your vision, and then they're providing value. So it's like sort of a net positive for us, for the world.
Even and for communities too. I mean, we are literally building communities. We're making intentional communities. We're taking people in the course and in the mastermind, and we're teaching them how to be developers, how to be investors, how to be, people that are raising capital. And then we're doing things we're passionate about. I mean, Zach, I can't say too much on live TV right now, but we're actually taking some of the concepts I love, which are things like fine food, okay? Are things like fine vehicles, things like exclusive activities, and we're
even Vipers.
Even Vipers. By the way, the Viper is so iconic and so rare. There were only 33,000 approximately ever made. Okay, they're great investments. They are great investments, and I know
he's really typically when they stop producing things, when they're really great cars, like people love the cars, so they stop producing it. Like the Jeep Grand Cherokee or the Honda Civic, all those really great cars that they stopped producing because people really love them.
Yeah, by the way, if you ever use the Dodge Viper in the same sentence as a Honda Odyssey or a Honda Civic or
another Chrysler product, the Jeep Wrangler.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. The bottom line is that
I do have sorry, go ahead.
Well, what we're doing here, Zach, is I'm able to take my passions, right? I tell people, thank God I'm finally able to afford to be the kid I always wanted to be. But I'm also networking with other people that are being their best selves, and we're building communities together. We're doing investments together. I'm pleased to say that by using the principles that we've created over the years, right? I have my best friends as my clients and my clients as my best friends.
That's the way you want to get to be in your career, right? So you enjoy doing business with people that you like to do business with. They come to you consistently. Let me change it up real quick here. So we got a Detroit guy here. We got an Austin guy here. And we have two things that are similar amongst those two cities right now, right? We have the Tesla factory is being built right now. Tesla's moving their headquarters here. And Dan comes from the Motor City. So if you're in either two of those locations, or if you've lived in a city that is powered by the manufacturing of vehicles, this is going to be a big change for us here in Austin. And I wondered, from a guy who grew up in Detroit and has Detroit blood in him, is Mima, what's your grandma's?
Naomi.
Bubby,
oh my gosh,
Bubby,
God bless you. I love you, Bubby.
Bubby ran the neighborhood back when he was a little guy.
Even back when she was a little
girl,
in the 50s and 60s.
All right, so she was a runner back in Detroit. So, and as I know from that city, a lot of that's powered by, and I just saw it when I was out shooting more stuff for CRE Pro a few weeks ago. A lot of that's powered by the car industry, and it's seeing a revival, right?
Yeah.
Like it's difficult to buy a car right now because there's a lack of them, and it's hard to keep up with production. American cars seem to be coming back, and in particular, a guy here from Detroit just bought a Austin manufactured truck. Buying the
I got the Cybertruck on
Cybertruck on pre-order.
So you want me to
we
talk
have,
about the
we have
difference
Detroit coming into Austin, right? So
and Austin coming
what is your vision for what happens to Austin based on your historical understanding of just not only Detroit as an auto manufacturer, but the other businesses around
the ancillaries. So, I mean, I've written a lot on my website and on LinkedIn about the Texodus and about what's going on. I am bullish on Texas. I've been for years. I love it. I love it here. You can check out some of the LinkedIn posts and maybe we'll drop some comments in there. There's a lot of great things going on. I think that part of the Texodus is based on the Cal exit, right? It's based on what's going on in California, which if you ask me, the things that California is doing is they're just downright anti-business and anti-American. And a lot of people are moving here because it makes sense. A lot of corporations are moving here. Now, if you look at Michigan, I like to look way back, like around the time of the Ice Age, let's say. If you look at the Rust Belt, right? The whole Wisconsin, Chicago, around the river, around the water, up into Michigan, all up north, and then down through the state down to Detroit, Ohio, Pittsburgh. If you look at that, everything that we do there is based on the glaciers, right? All the natural mineral sediments, all the ores, all the silicons, all those different things. And our industries have been shaped over thousands of years based on where that ice stopped.
Yeah.
Now, Texas is very different because Texas is basically just dry shale oil, which, sand fields, which is amazing, right? And if it weren't for like the Saudis and some other factors, maybe America would be completely off of some of this foreign energy dependence. But what's going on now in Texas, I think, is that Texas has created a very differently than Michigan. Michigan, I think, just naturally
like an environment, right?
Exactly. Michigan was an environment from a geological perspective.
Yeah.
Texas is an environment from a business perspective. And I think
it has been, and historically, I can tell you the brief history of Austin because there hasn't been much tech investment here. There is this fifth best computer science program is the University of Texas. It's crazy. I know when I first started, I thought Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Harvard, MIT, Texas.
Yeah,
but that's the case. And there's a lot of smart people here, but there has not been a lot of money here until what Dan was saying, which is oil guys from Houston, guys from Dallas with money. They're like, where else are we going to put it other than in oil? So they start putting it in tech companies here. You've got guys like Elon coming here. I really see that there's going to be a big growth in business here. I don't know how the Austinites are going to handle it. It's sort of in your perception or from your experience, like Detroit had it over a period of time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So people could buy buildings, build businesses, but this is all at one time. As you said, the great Texodus coming from California, coming from New York, coming from Florida, they're coming here in mass and bringing money.
They're also bringing ideas and style. That's one of the reasons I'm here, Zach.
That's true.
I have a meeting tomorrow with a great architecture firm because I'm going to be taking those concepts and maybe even employing some Texans in Michigan to build developments because of what you said. If you look at Texas architecture and you look at the real estate, I even put a post out today about some retail repurposing in Texas. It's a very fresh, clean look. It's got that tech feel of the Silicon Valley, but it's brought here in a more modest way. And I'm going to take that and move it over to the Midwest. And that's the value of what we're doing is this idea of a meeting of the minds of a mastermind to take the best, right? Take the best from the auto industry, take the best from the tech industry, take the best from the real estate industry, the oil industry, and then take those concepts and employ them in ways that add the most value.
All right, so to give you a brief backstory, Dan has had a company in the past that was able to retrofit homes for the ADA, right, for the disabled people, in Detroit, right? And so that was a change that happened that he implemented to accommodate, right, or to help out a certain population, the ADA, right? So, but much to his point, and I saw this living in Seattle, there's sort of a hesitancy for any of you, whether they're in residential real estate or design architecture in building, in any sort of real estate that has to do with I guess an improvement. Let's call it an improvement. Dan went up to the Domain, which is a nicer, newer, nouveau riche area.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And Seattle has one called Bellevue. And the reason
my uncle lives there.
The reason that I mention this is that historically Seattleites or Austinites love the old architecture, maybe the older homes.
Love that.
And you don't see this very much in Detroit, in my perception.
I don't know.
That you don't see that people are just knocking things down and then putting up these
I see what you're saying.
There are old brick buildings all over the place. They do things to retrofit them to make them, they're nice inside, but on the outside, it's still from 100 years ago or 80 years ago.
People appreciate that.
They appreciate that.
They
But
do.
when you bring in new people from a new location, and there's like, I'm going to make this part of mine. Dan saw today where you see new neighborhoods that come up that people are like, I don't care what the architecture was like here, like 30 years ago, 50 years ago. But the original Austinites, which I believe really makes this place cool, makes Seattle cool. It makes them fun to live in because people have this like this passion towards.
You've got that flavor.
They call it keep Austin weird here, right? So it is weird. It's cool because it's weird. And the thing that I tell everybody when they move to Austin is try to keep it weird. Like the reason that we like living here,
you're doing a much
is much the same way that in Burke or in the Heights, what's it called? In San Francisco, where Haight-Ashbury. The Haight-Ashbury was cool from the 1960s. Like they kept a lot of this like cool vibe. And so when tech entrepreneurs were like, should I leave and go somewhere else? Or no, I'll just go to San Francisco. It's cool. There's culinary stuff here. Yeah. I'm just going to make San Francisco a little bit more my style, and I'm going to feed back into it. And they did crush all the hippie stuff from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. They just like embraced that, right? And then they put the tech culture on top of that. So I think they did a pretty good job of preserving it. I'm very hesitant to see like what happens when Tesla moves here and when people move in from out of state.
Things are going to blow up.
Well, they're going to blow up, but are people going to, I guess, recognize that like the reason that they moved here, the reason that their bosses decided that like, hey, we're going to move our entire organization, we're going to rent 5 million square feet in downtown Austin was because it's like cool to live here. People want to come.
I hope that they do, and I think it all depends on the intention. And I want to full circle this because you asked me before about things like 1031 exchange, capital gains tax changes or abolishment, so to speak. One of the reasons that Texas has been so successful, in my opinion, over the last few years is because of their business positive mindset. And first of all, this is a tax-free state, right? Which is why a lot of people want to invest here.
With income tax, we don't pay income tax. We pay very high property tax, just like Florida, right?
Yeah,
so
which is why I don't live here, but I do invest.
There you go.
Right? So, and companies like Tesla and many others have moved here because just from a P&L standpoint, a profit and loss report standpoint, a bottom line standpoint, it makes sense to pay less taxes. And by the way, I don't know anybody out there, and I'm going to say it like it is. I'm not in favor of paying more taxes. I'm in favor of adding more value. And as a course creator and a CEO, that is what I do. As a business owner, that's what I do. I do pay taxes, and I love paying taxes because it means that I'm doing something good. But also the government rewards people. See, the government has a job, right? A lot of jobs. One of their jobs is to build roads, to build business, to provide education, to feed, to clothe, to provide shelter, to aid and encourage procreation. And the government is all about efficiency, doing things, as many things as possible, as well as possible for as little investment as possible. That's why the government invests in businesses. The government invests in business owners like you and I and the members of our course. And that being the case, you get so many incentives, so many things that you can get. Like, for example, the ability to write off certain things, the ability to have tax breaks, the ability to invest in real estate and grow. And that's what's amazing about this country, especially right now.
Just listen to what Dan said there, right there. So this is really important. If you're working at a WT, and I hated when people told me this when I was doing this like a consistent basis, but like when you're working at W2, you're paying those taxes, whether you're in an income state tax or state or not. You're still paying those taxes, right? Yeah. But the government is very pro-business, as Dan was saying, right? The federal government wants you to create new businesses, and they've created incentive packages for you to do that. If you are a commercial real estate broker, if you're running your own business, you're a 1099 employee. Exactly. And so there are benefits, right, to making investments in other businesses, making investments in real estate that you just don't get. If you invest in Bitcoin, you don't get that same thing as if you take the CRE Pro course. Well, they take the CRE Pro course, you start your own business, you start hiring people, maybe you hire contractors and so on. But the issue the thing I want to bring up there is like, it's pretty easy to get into real estate if you want to.
Where's the barrier of entry? Just the knowledge and the education and the network. And that's what we provide. So if you're interested in real estate, if you're interested in making money, in building your network and in being successful, and that can be as a business owner, that can be as an investor, as a broker, as a consultant, please, by all means, reach out to us because that is what we do. We help people like you build your name, build your brand, build your business, and build your wealth.
So Dan and I are very accessible on LinkedIn. If you're ready to take that investment into your own career, I'd suggest checking out creprocourse.com. Check it out. If you have any questions for us, we're available, DM, LinkedIn. I would highly recommend to take action today, because the best time to invest in yourself or invest in real estate is when.
It was 20 years ago, and if you didn't do it, it's right now.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, if you can repost this or like, comment, subscribe, give thumbs up, hit the heart button, the brain button for Zach, any of the above. I don't know if there's a down thumb button for Dan. No, I don't think so. LinkedIn's too nice. Yeah, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions for you. And we look forward to seeing you inside the CRE Pro course.
All right, my man.
High five. High five.